Chicago. This is when the majority of the AWWA, the standards were established. And because, I mean, part of the city of Chicago was on fire, they didn't have the fire protection. So when you do a system, when you manage a system, fire protection is extremely important. Need to improve the water treatment process, whether they, you know, and they're already being discussed. Voice, let me get in. I think I moved one slide over. Wastewater system. The wastewater system included is not as extensive as the water distribution system. Wastewater disposal is about 94%, but in reality, only 78%. It is directly connected to the system. Just to give you an idea, in Miami-Dade County, we have 80% of our 100% customers, or water customers, are connected to sewers. The majority of the people in Cuba are in what they call on-site sewer disposal system, and there is 6% without any sanitary sewer service. Data from 2007 shows that only 4% of the sewage is treated. This is amazing. The other 90% is discharged into nearby waterways with minimal to no treatment. I mean, who can? I mean, the environmental regulations, no environmental regulations. The most common form of treatment, the use of stabilization lagoons. I mean, just looking at the sanitary sewer system in Havana, it was built to serve the population of 600,000. You know how many people are serving today? 945,000. Very limited the system that we have nowadays. Let's look at some economic factors. I think that the point, when we talk about this, one of the main objectives of a utility company is to provide an efficient and reliable service. Looking at from far and away, or looking at the water source system in Cuba is extremely inefficient. Cost-benefit analysis. Cost-benefit analysis is essential to operate a water and wastewater utility company. There is a total absence of cost-benefit analysis in the water utility system in Cuba. Only 3.6% of the residential customers have water meters. How can and 73% of commercial customers have water meters. In general, customers without water meters are billed a nominal fee. What is the incentive for you if you're a water customer to have, one of the things that we promote, and I think this every utility company in the United States, even though it goes against the economy of the utility company, we promote water conservation. How can you promote water conservation there? What is the rate that is established? When in reality, some people use more water, there is a high water consumption, and in reality, they pay it about the same fee. So this is extraordinarily important. I have a story of people that I met, came from Cuba like a few months ago, and I told them, and this happened last week, that I was preparing this, and I actually asked this particular question: how do you pay the water bill? And in reality, they told me, in reality, you don't pay it. I think I used to pay on a quarterly basis, and you don't pay, it's not a big deal. Once in a while, I mean, you know, they're not delinquent accounts. So that's the point that I want to make. But there is a story of this person who told me that in the sidewalk, I mean, in front of his house, there was as we usually know, there is a water meter. That is, you know, the water meter that we have. This is where the meter readers come and they take a reading to see what is your water consumption. So there was a broken sidewalk in that specific area, and it was broken for years. And then came crews from, I guess, this Public Works, and they fixed the sidewalk. When they fixed the sidewalk, they buried the water meter underneath the concrete. So this guy who, you know, usually used to get his readings of the water consumption, now he was paying a nominal fee. And there's no one to complain. I mean, usually here we coordinate with Public Works, you know, all the work that you do here in the county in the United States is well coordinated among different agencies. The main thing here is the revenues that are collected are transferred to the government. I mean, there is not there's a central location, and this applies to everything that we have, every company, organization that is in Cuba. So the infrastructure capital investment are managed by government, rather than being managed by the utility administrators. So the utility administrators are the only one who knows what are the needs of the department. So I don't know how much of that money returns back to the utility company for their, the improvement that are needed, but in reality, all the money goes to a central location and is managed by government rather by the administrators. And here we go, what we do here in the United States. As a utility company, we normally have, it's a requirement, an independent engineering consultant, and we call it a bond engineer, that analyzes the utility operation of the company. And basically, what they do that in order to make certain that the utility company is fiscally responsible. Annual evaluation are required to provide an opinion. In reality, the company engineering and financial feasibility and the adequacy of rates and charges to assure that the revenues are sufficient to maintain and operate the company. And as is a main recommendation, they inspect facilities in a periodic basis in order to make recommendations for repair and replacement. To drill a little bit more on it, more specific, they create reports. This bond engineer create reports. They look at the challenge. For example, one of the challenges that we have in our company is aging infrastructure. That's the reason that you see that we just signed a consent decree with the federal government to do some of this improvement. You analyze the number of customers and sales to look at the increase of customers as well as the water distribution and wastewater disposal revenues. You look at capital improvement program. You need to know ahead of time if you need to do improvement in your system. But there's a constant growth in your system, and you need to make certain that you'll be able to. They look at the renewal and replacement fund to repair or replace the existing infrastructure. And in essence, what they do is, this is a bond engineer, they look at the financial and business condition to, in fact, determine the operating revenues, the debt services, and the financial reserve. Now, I'm looking now at probably this is the part of the topic of the general presentation that I have not still discussed. What I would recommend is, the first thing that we need to do is prioritize the rehab of the current system, renewal or replacement of existing infrastructure to provide the best return on investment. The company cannot engage in additional infrastructure unless they start fixing what they have in place. Mainly repair pipes to reduce the leaks and restore capacity lost from tuberculation, substantially improve the quality and delivery of the potable water to meet the health standards. I don't know if they meet health standards, I'm sure they don't. Consider improve the wastewater treatment to meet environmental regulation, and create, and this is the most important part of my estimate, create a sustainable financing for the long-term sustainable utility infrastructure to properly serve the Cuba population. Mainly what we do here in the United States, we rely on municipal bonds. That's the reason that the utility company has to be fiscally responsible. Also, we rely on cash, the money, the revenues, and then we rely on loans that we receive from the state or the federal level. Cuba's current form of government doesn't offer these options. There's not operated, the money goes to the centralized government. Obviously, it is our expectation, I think everybody's expectation here, that in the near future, Cuba foreign government will transition in what we call a free market society that will fully open new opportunities for these people, as well for the utilities and other companies that are, and then we'll be able to tap what we call the capital market. What I consider that probably when that transition occurs, one of the things that we need to pursue is loans and grants that from large world organizations like the USA, the World Bank, and there's many organizations there that can assist in making these repairs and improving the system. Innovative financing models should be pursued to increase the efficiency and add value to customers. Future industrial customers, large residential and commercial developers, can also be partners in financing system improvement. You're not going to allow someone who come here and want to make an investment and I cannot be a partner in trying to improve the system. I mean, and the implementation, and this is what is happening now. What is happening now in the United States, I think it was implemented first in UK and Canada and some parts of Europe, what we call P3s, and probably some of you have heard about it, which is the private-public partnership, where there is a contractor who comes and with a financial institution, they do they're partnered with the public institution, and they together, I mean, this contractor and this financial institution, they make the investment, they build the infrastructure, and for a certain period of time, you see they are P3s for 30 years, 35 years, they get revenues based on the operation of the utility company. How about that? This is the courtesy of Maria. This is the Panther and the Cuban American Association of Civil Engineers. So, I'll be able to answer any questions that you may have.
We leave the questions to the end. Thank you, Mr. Vega. And now we have Dr. Cronin with the Applied Research Center at FIU.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to Cuba Research Institute. It's my pleasure, and the Society of Civil Engineers. We've had some excellent talks here today, and really they've hit upon major issues that are of concern in Cuba, and for us as well. I'd like to give you a quote, but unfortunately I don't know who made this quote, who said it, so I'm not sure when they said it. But let me give you this little quote to start off things. The most significant advance in medicine in the last 500 years has been the separation of humankind from its wastes. That's the quote. I don't know who said it, when they said it, but it makes some sense. When I thought about this talk, I've had close to 40 years experience in the field here, ranging 30 years involved heavily with regulatory issues with the EPA and with the states, and I've worked with some of the most sophisticated advances in utilities design in Massachusetts, for example, in Los Angeles and in Washington, D.C., and I've also had the privilege for many years to work with people here in Miami-Dade County. And from this plethora of available choices and information, if you were to address the issue of how to proceed in Cuba now, let's see what we might think about. First, I'll say I'm a person who likes to have reasonably accurate information about what I'm about to undertake. So you might find the word accurate appearing in a few thoughts here. But basically, I like to know that the data about rainfall is correct. I like to know that the data about flow rates, both surface and underground, is correct. I like to know about the quality of the water that is available above ground and below ground. I would like to know what is the status of the salinity inversion front, the intrusion front that is occurring, potentially augmented by the results of the many dams that have been put into Cuba to assist for making it as a reservoir. But first of all, the most fundamental suggestion is that there should be inculcated into the philosophical approach of water and sewer in Cuba that one must have an integrated approach. That we're really looking at a three-part problem which is intimately associated with the notion of long-term sustainability. We know that water, wastewater, and energy are intimately related quantities as one makes choices. Now, I could add some other things, but it's better to begin with the most fundamental. For example, I could add the notion of resilience. I have these listed, so let me see if I do this correctly. All I have to do is hit an arrow. Well, I hit the arrow, but nothing has happened. Should I hit this arrow again? All I'm getting is a bell ring. Oh, I was hitting it the wrong way, so I want to go down. All right. Well, I think the first thing to do is inculcate. That is, get the people all aboard. The people and the government all aboard a integrated water management approach and philosophy. And that philosophy must include long-term sustainability together with the addressment of the other issues that many of the speakers have referred to. Now, I could add the word resilience. Resilience is a big word today. If I was recently at a meeting on utilization of parametric insurance as a new model going forward for the notion of insuring public works and private organizations. Parametric insurance is very attractive